What is up, YouTube? Capital G here, D-Endo commentary. And let's see, we got Christopher 95 929 versus Blue Magician Paul 1207. About an hour ago, I think I saw Blue Magician Paul. I'm almost certain that he plays Kozmo, and he played against he was playing against the Magispectors, and he OTK'd by attacking 5 times with 5 times with Kozmo monsters. It was pretty disgusting. All right, so looks like we got a turn 1 Dante, Burning Abyss. Shockingly enough, my confidence in this deck doing really well this format is, I would say, at about 5. It's cool to see him playing the Cranes. I mean, I think Crane is a substitute for Tour Guide. I just think the later in the game that it gets, the better it is. Where Tour Guide's basically a 10 out of 10 no matter when you draw it. But Crane is like, in your opening hand, it's, I don't know, like a 5. And then, you know, every turn later, it probably goes up 1.5 points. You know what I mean? Yeah, so somewhere around that. Assuming that you make like an early Dante or, well, I mean, there's other ways to get BAs in the graveyard. Foolish Burial, Fiend Griefing and whatnot. Alright, so he's got his double Dante. He's got his, Dragif. I'm not super familiar with this card because like nobody plays it. End phase. No, that's not end phase. I'm like, what is he doing? Oh, I think this is the one that I think stacks the deck. Wow, are we gonna see a triple Dante board? Is that Cagna? It is, that's Cagna. Okay. I think we're gonna see a triple Dante board. Now, I will say, this is impressive. You don't even see triple Dante boards when, like, you didn't even see that a lot of times when Tour Guide was at 3. So, I don't think he's actually used Seer's Effect. He has not. In this situation, I think you get Scarm just as, like, yeah, you get Scarm just for the reinforcement ability. Because he already has a Scarm in the graveyard, so why not load yourself up with another Scarm? That means he obviously has Tour Guide. He doesn't have any back row, so not much protection for his Burning Abyss monsters. But I mean, he does have like 4 of them on field, and he still has 6 cards. So ultimately, he's able to convert 5 cards into 6, and 3 of those cards into incredibly powerful Dantes. The only way I would feel better about this, if I was him, if I was Christopher, is if I had Max C. Max C or Fire Lake. Those would be the only 2 cards that I would want here. Maybe you could put Vanity's Emptiness in that. Yeah, those would be the top 3 cards that I would want more than anything against pretty much not knowing what I'm playing against. Let's say that this is game 1, which I don't know if this is game 1 or not. This could be game 1, 2, or 3, but those would be the only 3 cards that I would want, because we know one of his cards to be Tour Guide. I want either Max C in my hand, I'd want a Vanity set, or I'd want a Fire Lake set. Like those, that's it. Cause Fire Lake, you get I feel like this, you just wreck it. Like, you just nuke all their shit, and then basically it's just GG from that point. Now, if Blue Magician Paul is still playing Cosmos, the massive back row is shocking to me. I don't really know, I mean, what deck is he gonna play that's gonna load up on that back row against 3 Dante? I hope he knows that, isn't there 8,500 damage on board? No, maybe 8,300, I believe. 75 with Dante's plus 800. I believe that's 8,300 on board. Game is on board here. Now that what's it called? A Stormy Mirror Force would obviously completely destroy that. Looks like he puts a Good and Evil in the graveyard. Okay, it's nice to see Good and Evil still being played. If I'm Christopher, I'm clearly trying to get my Fire Lake back. And I'm also not attacking with all, like, I mean, I guess it just depends, like, how big are your balls? You know what I mean? Cause clearly, you could attack for game, but you could also run into a Stormy Mirror Force and potentially lose everything. Well, you wouldn't lose the Scarm, but you lose all your Dantes. Like, all that work that you put in making those Dantes, you just lose them. But I mean, if the game progressive, it only helps your opponent. Okay, looks like Blue Magician Paul is, in fact, still playing Kozmo. Now, I want to see how this deck does against, I want to see how Burning Abyss get rid of Dark Destroyer and Forerunner, because I don't think they have ways of getting rid of the card. I mean, other than, like, Regeki. You know what I mean? Regeki is pretty much, like, the main goal. Or, yeah, the main way of getting the cards off the board. There's Dark Hole, too, but I don't think you want to do that. All right, so I think he brought out. He almost went too fast. I thought it was a farm girl, and now he's going into Slip Rider. Wow, no chain on the Fire Lake, huh? Oh, it was in the end phase. Excuse me, it was during the end phase. Okay. During the end phase, I'm like, why would he? I'm like, what just happened? Why would he not chain? So he must have, yeah, he just set that card because during his first turn he didn't have any back row. So Slip Rider comes down and nukes that. Probably would have lost it had Christopher resolved that Fire Lake. This duel may have been over. It's still going to be a steep climb up the hill to try and get over all three of those Dantes. But if you get a Forerunner, you can slowly but surely take Dantes down turn by turn. You can get a lot of life points back at the same time. So it's achievable. It is achievable if it's believable. That's not how that saying goes. I think it's if you believe you can achieve. That sounds way better. All right, so I'm still gonna say advantage to Christopher, just because he has, like, even if the Dantes die, it's gonna take so long to kill them, and you give Christopher like a lot of time to draw those dark holes or the Regeki or something like that. But you have to find other ways of killing monsters that don't target, because the Fire Lake is great, but it targets. The Phoenix from Wind Blast is great, but it targets. The Karma Cut, the Regeki Break, all those cards target. So those aren't super good against your, Magic Specters and your typical Kozmo deck. So this time he just summons Farm Girl. Does he have Honest or something? Like, that's kind of like telegraphing that you have an Honest, or, I wouldn't be afraid to ram Dante into that. Yeah, I wouldn't be afraid to ram Dante into that. I mean, how do you play around Honest here? I'm wondering, how exactly are you going to play around Honest? I know what card would actually be really good here, Farfa, because you could just banish one of the monsters and not even have to worry about it, and potentially try and attack him directly. But he was kind of scared to do that from the beginning, so maybe he's reading a Storming Mirror Force. All right, so he's going to get Traveler. Okay, interesting. Kind of surprised once again he didn't get Fire Lake, but okay. He knows better than I do what he needs. Alright, so he's getting Traveler of the Burning Abyss. I question that because it doesn't really let you make any offensive plays this turn. I think Virgil would be great here too. Mills a Traveler and Alec, and that may have been Babar. Okay, it was Babar. So he wanted to negate Farm Girl. Farm Girl says, that's not gonna happen. Slip Rider is summoned. He's not gonna use his effect. Christopher has no back row right now, so that's really just not gonna do much. He is gonna use Babar to at least do some burn damage here. Okay. Now he could run over those Slip Riders, which I would expect. They do continually replace themselves though with other monsters, and obviously he could get a Farm Girl right back out. So let's see what he's going to see into. I was going to say Ghost Trick Alucard is not out of the realm of possibility here, because if nothing else, is like, just get rid of the back row. Like, if it's a Storming Mirror Force or a card like Evac, just get rid of it. It's a Galaxy Cyclone, so clearly a bluff card that wasn't really doing anything in this matchup. Whoa! Okay, looks like we got the tech options. Are we going to see a Utopia summoned here? Yes it is. I forget his name. Yeah, there it is. Utopic Future. I've got to get that card into some more, like, more of my decks. But, you make it with, it's actually crazy. It has no rank. That just seems like that seems like a card that they had to summon on the show. Maybe that is the way that this deck gets rid of those Kozmo monsters. But regardless, you make the card with, two monsters of the same rank. And I know that when you attack, neither player takes like battle damage. Let me read the card effect right quick. Two monsters of the same rank, except, okay, it can't be numbers. I never thought that that's really that relevant. Its original rank is treated as 1, can't be destroyed by battle. Neither player takes battle damage from attacks involving this, what's it called, at the end of the damage step. If it battled a monster, oh yeah, you get to take control of that monster. That can't target because it doesn't say select the target. Yeah, it doesn't say select the monster that you, what's it called? It just says if you battled it, take it. If the face-up card would be destroyed by an effect, you get to detach and exceed material from it instead. Okay, well, you know what? Shut me up. I just went on a little tangent about how, this deck doesn't have any outs to Dark Destroyer and to Forerunner, and turns out, you know what, they totally do. So they can actually just use Utopic Future. Now that's the thing, I never saw that in Burning Abyss until like just recently. Like I just recently saw that. Oh my goodness, the double Utopic Future. Oh my, not nice. Not does a lot of the other, I guess, rank 3s had to be taken out of the deck. Maybe you cut down like one Virgil, whatever. You know, we don't have Beatrice, so there is, I guess, some space there, but like Mega Engineer is probably taken out, and maybe Levier and stuff like that. You just don't really use it in Burning Abyss. Heck, maybe not even Acid Golem anymore. But I know that Utopic Future is really good, and I guess it is your out to those problematic big Cosmos that you can't target, or if you happen to run into a Leo or something like that, you just run into it and you don't take any damage. Your opponent doesn't take any damage. It doesn't matter because you end up getting their monster. So you know what I mean? It's just like, oh, you spent all that time making this monster, and now I'm just going to take it from you. And unless your Utopic Future is actually threatened, you don't really have to expend any resources to protect it. Like, your opponent dark holes it, you just detach a material. And since you have Dante's generally as the materials, when you detach, you end up putting something back into your hand anyways. Alright, so Blue Magician Paul gets his Kozmo Town, and I assume he'll activate it. It's gonna cost him some life points though. I assume he might want to get like Farm Girl or something. Farm Girl is really not that good right now. In fact, I just don't know what he's gonna. It almost seems like he needs to go to the extra deck right now. Yeah, I would think that. You know, I wonder if two Utopic Futures attack each other, how that plays out. I would assume, would the turn player have priority to take the monster? But then wouldn't the second one resolve and give the turn player's monster that originally attacked back to the opposing player? Like, you know what I mean? Wouldn't the monsters just, like, if you have a Utopic Future on your side and I have one on my side and we decided to attack each other, wouldn't they just swap places? Because it's not like the effects are going to be negated just because it went from my side to your side. It seems like they would just switch places, which would be just a really silly interaction. But I would think that he would have to go, because I was like, okay, if he can get 2 7s on the field, he can go into Big Eye and he could take one. But I don't think that solves the problem, to be honest. Even Dracosack doesn't, because Dracosack can only pop one Utopic Future. Dracosack usually would be able to sit there and live on the board, but that doesn't really do anything if your opponent's just going to ram into Dracosack and then take it. He's going to have to go to the extra deck, like, to get rid of these. Volcasaurus is an option. Actually, Pallades is better. Okay, well, never mind. If you have Pallades, something that can get rid of 2 cards instantly, then yeah, that's your way out of this situation. That's it. That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, oh, okay, Pallades. I'm like, Volcasaurus doesn't really do anything. If he goes Abyss Dweller plus Pallades, this is really bad, because them Dantes ain't gonna trigger. Let's see. Okay, he's going into Telemias. Oh my, he went into Diamond instead. Okay. So yeah, those Dantes will not actually activate. Traveler's played though. Oh, trap stun on Traveler. Yeah, the reason he's not going to activate those Dantes is because any cards that would be sent from any cards that would be added from your graveyard to the hand would be banished. So anything he would try and add with the Dantes would just get banished. So this is a really bad situation. The counterplays are real. And who would think that Blue Magician Paul would have all this stuff? Like, is it, I guess it is kind of standard to run a Diamond in your extra deck. I mean, because you can equip Diamond under Telemias, or you could just summon it against Burning Abyss, or what other big dark decks are there? Like, Shadows aren't really that big anymore. So, I mean, I guess it is just for Burning Abyss, and that's pretty much it. Like, Magic Specters or Wind and stuff like that. Alright, so at this point, I don't think revealing monsters is the best plan of action here, simply because Diamond's just going to eat them up. Diamond's just like, nope, 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 nope. Even if you did, I think I would have just let him do that, to be honest, because it doesn't do anything. As soon as you summoned it, it just would have ended up getting blown up because you have a monster on the field that is clearly not a Burning Abyss monster. He is going to activate his good and evil, Seer is almost certainly going to get stopped by a diamond. I remember, way back when I used to play Tellarknights, summoning diamond against Burning Abyss was just the fucking greatest. Cause if you had that plus an Alpha Nova, it's just like, unless they had like a Dark Hole or something, you just basically won. You would force them. I mean, usually you'd get 3 cards out of them. And by that point, it's like, okay, you know, you get 3 cards out of them, then you Alpha Nova the last card and you pretty much just win. Looks like he really needs himself a Regeki or something like that. That Trapstone was actually really clutch. Alright, searches a Farfa, but that does not actually, once again, that does not stop Diamond. Okay, so what's gonna happen here? Alright, so I guess he tries to summon Farfa, tries to use the effect to banish the Diamond. Diamond's just gonna be used. He's gonna be like, nah, that's not gonna happen. That is gonna happen, my friend. I expect him to negate that. And he still really hasn't even used his, he hasn't even used both materials on his Pallades yet. So the Pallades is kind of locking down the Utopic Future. Alright, so Utopic Future is gonna attack, and, that's gonna get spun to the hand. If only he had a way of stopping if he had a way of stopping Pallades, Duel might look a little different. But he has essentially gotten rid of all of all of Blue Magician Paul's, materials and resources, but he doesn't really have anything. All he has is a Dante and 1 card. Blue Magician Paul still has, at the end of the day, Blue Magician Paul still has, 5,200 potential battle damage. So even if your Dante does replace itself, like, I don't know, man. I think your extra deck, you only got like 9 cards in it, and you only have 8 cards in deck. It seems like your Burning Abyss deck might be running out of steam at this point. That might be another reason why BA could struggle is, I don't think what's it called? I think Christopher is telling him that if you didn't negate the summon or you didn't negate the effects of these monsters with Diamond, they were going to blow up anyway. Which is why I didn't understand why he negated them. I'm like, if you don't negate them, they're just going to blow themselves up anyway, because he had a Utopic Future. That's not a Burning Abyss. So I'd have been like, okay, you go ahead, and I'm not using any materials. I mean, it's always nice to get cards for free, but the Diamond didn't have to be used there. It didn't have to be used. You could have saved it for another time. Now, I still really don't know what Christopher's going to... Oh, okay. He's going into a 3rd Downer Magician. Okay. And I don't really think that helps his position that much. I don't think Diamond has to have materials to get that effect. During your main phase, blah, 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 blah. Let's see. If this card has neither player can send from the deck, that returns to the... Oh, okay, so it has to have a C material for that effect. Oh, okay, so that wasn't a bad play then. Alright, so now if the Dante is sent, or the Dante goes to the graveyard, it will get its effect. Christopher can't activate the effect because Diamond has to have materials to get that effect. But this is also when Blue Magician Paul having a Kozmo Town is like really, really big. Especially if he's gonna activate Kozmo Town twice and 2 different copies. This is where Cosmos can feel like they have an infinite battle phase, which is probably the scariest thing about the deck outside of Kozmo Town. You see the the Downer Magician is going down, and that's not a wordplay or a joke or anything like that. It's just dying. Alright, Seer's getting to his hand. I don't think he's gonna get to his next turn. I think he's gonna just die here. Because I think Farm Girl's gonna search. I think he's gonna get something like a Slip Rider. And I think he's gonna summon like at least twice from his hand. That's really what you want to do from Cosmos. When you resolve Farm Girl now, it's not even about getting it's no longer even about getting Kozmo Town. It's more or less just like trying to kill your opponent like right then and there, putting as much damage on the board as possible. We know that he obviously could have summoned Wicked Witch, and he had Dark Destroyer in his hand. That's another 4,400. So definitely game on board. Thank you guys for watching as always.